What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Coach's Classroom. My name is Coach Devon Buchanan, and I'm super excited about today's lesson. Today's lesson is for my young people, right? I often work with middle schoolers and helping them to develop the skills, right? Middle schoolers are in this critical time in their life where they're going through experiences that will help to shape their character. You know, I often tell them we are the sum total of our life experiences. So if you add up all of our days, all of our life experiences together, and you put them together, that's who you are as a person. And so being reflective about those experiences, understanding how those experiences affect you, help to shape who you are as a person and turn you into an adult that you're proud to be, a successful adult, a contributing member of your community. And so today I'm going to be kind of sharing some concepts from my book, 7 Steps to a Successful School Year. I wrote this book in 2021 as a resource for young people to learn what both successful students and unsuccessful students have done, but ultimately to get the skills that they need to become successful students, to learn to turn their education into a valuable resource. And so today, I want to talk to my young people from the topic of your current situation is not your final destination. Where you are right now is not where you're meant to end up. In the beginning of this book, I talk about my experience in middle school. And, you know, when I was in middle school, I thought that everything was an extreme, right? That everything that happened to me, whether it was good or bad, would last forever, right? I thought school days would last forever. I was out at 3 o'clock, it might as well have been 6. I had some really shaky friends, and so if I had friends that did me wrong or did me dirty or didn't treat me the way that I thought I should, we'd never be friends again, right? All these things had large effects on my character and my self-esteem, my self-concept, and my self-efficacy, how I view myself, how I feel about myself, and then my belief in what I can actually do or accomplish. And so, you know, I always found myself comparing myself to other people, right? I didn't really know that all of the things that were happening in my life, all the things that were happening to me were actually happening for me. And that if I just took time to reflect, if I took time to think about in the moment how it was affecting me, I could use all these situations to help grow me as a person. But a lot of times as a kid, as a teen, we don't have those skill sets yet. We haven't had anybody told us that, listen, this bullying or, you know, this instance, this bad grade, this whatever's going on in your life is just setting you up for the future. It's providing you a life lesson. And it's hard to see that when you're in middle school. You find yourself comparing yourself to other people. Why does he get all the good grades and I don't? Why do they make the basketball team and I don't? Why are they singing on the choir and I'm not? Why are they National Honor Society and I'm not? Why are they honor roll and I'm not? We're comparing ourselves to so many people that we often forget that God's got a plan for you too. That God has gifted you with things that sometimes we aren't able to see in ourselves. You know, this world has a funny way of making you think that your goals and dreams, the gifts that you have, the things that you're going through aren't important. And I'm here to tell you that they are. I'm here to tell you that every experience that you go through, everything that you've gone through, all of those things are to prepare you for the future. I want you to think of a garden. I'm a gardener, right? I love the outdoors. I love to plant plants. And every year I start my garden. Well, this year, and really every year, I have a variety of different fruits and vegetables and flowers and different things, right? And every year I plant them all at the same time. But I started to notice that my squash plants grew a little faster than my pepper plants. That my pepper plants grew a little faster than my cucumber plants. Even though they're all planted at the same time, even though they're all planted at the same time, they require different things, right? See, my pepper plant requires a lot of sunlight, where my squash plant, my cucumber plant require a lot of water, right? My pepper plant is about half the size of my squash plant, but they were both planted at the same time. And so as I start to think about this, as I start to reflect, I start to think about the importance of this, right? How we too are plants whose goal is to bear fruit, right? Now, you might be like, Coach, what you talk about fruit? What's fruit mean? Well, I'm glad you asked. Fruit refers to our goals and dreams. Bearing fruit refers to our goals and dreams. Putting our goals and dreams out into the world for all the world to see, to take advantage of, to consume, just like a vegetable, if you will. And so as we start to grow, sometimes we recognize that, wait a minute, I'm not growing as fast as this person over here. I'm not growing as fast as this individual over here. What's going on? We start to question the things that are going on in our lives. We start to question why this person's getting this opportunity, but we're not, right? And so I want to take you back to the garden. Some things require more sunlight. Some plants require more sunlight. Some require more shade. Some plants require more water. Some require less water. Some plants require more nutrient-rich soil. Some can grow in just plain old dirt. But at the end of the day, they all have one responsibility, and that responsibility is to bear their fruit. And so it's important to remember a couple things, right? My squash plant, it's got to grow up real fast. Why? Because squash are big fruits. They're big vegetables, right? And so that plant has to bear a lot of burden early in its life, right? But the pepper, it can grow slowly and build its roots because the peppers are much smaller than the squash plant. So it doesn't have to grow up as fast, even though it will grow up to be just as strong. It will bear twice as much fruit as that squash, but at the end of the day, it's not as big. So what's more important, that you are seemingly as big or as noticeable as the person over here, the individual over here, the opportunity over here, or that you take advantage of the opportunity you get? That's the important thing that we need to remember, y'all. That God has put us on this earth for a specific reason. And I'm talking to you right now because God has put me on this earth to educate you, to give you analogies, to give you information, to help you make sense of this world. So I'm here to tell you, listen, you are the fruit. You are the plant that's growing in the soil. You are the plant that needs shade or sunlight. You are the plant that needs more water or less water. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, God has promised you will bear your fruit. It's got to stay the course, man. We just got to trust that God is putting us in the right environment. We got to remind ourselves that God has put us in this garden for a reason, to make sure that we have everything that we need to bear our fruit. So as we start to think, right, as we start to reflect on where we are in our lives, what we want to do, what some of our goals are, remember that we cannot compare ourselves to people over here. We cannot compare ourselves to someone over here. But ultimately, are we putting in the effort into the things that God has put on our heart? When he says, go out and write that poem, when he says, sing that song, when he says, write that book, are we doing those things? When he says to study for that test, when he says to do that math homework, are we prepared for that? Are we putting in the next effort, knowing that every single one of these actions will help us to do what? Bear our fruit, live out our goals and dreams. So guys, remember, your current situation is not your final destination. Where you are right now is not where you're meant to end up. You have a journey to take. right? And unfortunately, we aren't always in control of that journey. God is here to guide us. God is here to provide the motivation, the wherewithal, the inner fortitude to help us push through those difficulties, knowing that at the end of the day, those difficulties will help us to bear our fruit. Thanks, y'all, for listening, checking in. This is Coach reminding you to focus, because finding ourselves creates unlimited success. Peace.